yourself. I am more than my physical body. Because I am more than physical matter, I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. I deeply desire to expand, to experience, to know, to understand, to control, to use such greater energies and energy systems as may be beneficial and constructive to me and to those who follow me. I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance, the understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater than my own. I ask their guidance and protection from any influence or any source that might provide me with less than my stated desires.
I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family and explorers of consciousness. I am the void walker.
Checky.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting live from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void live. And thank you guys for joining us tonight, wherever you're listening from. If you're listening on TalkStream Live, tune in, Live 365. The Fringe FM site is going through an update, but also YouTube. And eventually, not tonight, but eventually we'll be back on Rumble. So these are always hard broadcasts after the Ducina show. I mean, how do you follow that? Real quick, I want to, let me turn this music down though. I'll get dinged for that one, YouTube. It was only 10 seconds. Let me get off the radio here. But here's the thing. I want to send out some, just shout outs to all of you people that have supported. There's a circle of people that support that I really don't know what to say. Jen, Mike, Connie, the patrons. Sometimes I get overwhelmed with support, like the kind of support that it's hard to put words to it. And there's also people that are still supporting with, like, they're waiting on orders, still waiting. And there's people that have supported this. I mean, we've been doing this since 2014, 2015. And even Catalina still sends messages in the mail, right? Like, I don't know, man. Just a lot of crazy synchronicities have been happening lately, you know. People are going through it. There's transformations that are happening. Change is tough. But that's why we're here, right? Like, void walkers aren't normal people. Like, I don't even know how you define normal, but we want to cut the shit, pardon my French, and get to the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter, the biggest truth of the matter here is, there is a spiritual realm. I've witnessed it. I've felt it. I've been in it. A lot of you have. You found it through meditation or hypnagogia or out-of-body experiences or DMT experiences or things where you know that there's another realm of existence. There is no doubt in my mind about the etheric double, whatever we want to call it, the phantom, the ghost, the out-of-body experience. There's no doubt. I have no doubt in my mind about it. None. Most of other things I can doubt, but those I don't doubt. Two things, like that and the power of your belief, right? Whatever system of belief you pick up, usually if it hits you in the heart and soul, you know it works for you. It's going to work, right? That's spirituality. The OBE thing, on the other hand, I'm not sure. Like, I have a feeling that the outer body experience might blow this whole lid off of everything, like everything. And what do I mean by that, right? Like belief systems, right? Mainly belief systems, stuff that we've been telling ourselves for a long time. It's an endless realm of exploration. But just knowing for sure, just knowing that this place is real is enough, right? And whatever is coming down the road for us as a society or race or community or family, whatever you want to call it, I think there's a reason why there are more people interested in this now that are trying to experience it than ever. There are more people having these experiences more than ever, because you're going to have to tap into the spiritual side of yourself for us to get through this. Like whatever it is, right? And some people say it's Aquarian. I can see that for sure, because the technology's there as far as Aquarius is concerned. But also, we don't want to become robots. And there's nothing more programmable walking around on the face of the earth than human beings. We are unconsciously designed to program and reprogram ourselves and to program other people. That's just a fact. And people know this, right? Like, it doesn't have to be some big, massive conspiracy. It's just a fact. The algorithms know it. You're being programmed by the second now. Everybody knows how programmable you are. But what they're not telling you is just how much your reality is programmable in the reverse, right? We don't have to mystify it, right? We can, like, I can just tell you for sure, the unconscious controls everything, like everything. I've been hit with so many synchronicities this past week with people in this community that I can't even even right before the show started tonight. People are going through changes. Like people are going to passing away, going to other sides. I'm going through a change. My father's going through a change. Like everybody I know is going through a change, and you can see how some people just go with it and some people resist it. Like Robert Monroe talked about, that the rate of change that happens is inevitable. We're always trying to find this place so the change doesn't happen. Stability, grounding ourselves, that kind of thing, because change is scary. The unknown is scary, but it never stops. It keeps happening. This is why we become so fascinated with what scares us. Because it's not all scary. It's kind of exciting. And most people don't even want to admit it. They don't want to admit that. Right? But we do. We admit it. Right? So the thing is that I like to do is just investigate this and just cut the shit. Pardon my French, but listening to people that are that have actually had out-of-body experiences or that are doing these things, and then just talking about it or doing it ourselves, or trying to understand divination on a higher level. Right? Thanks, Sudi. Appreciate that. Trying to understand things like, what's this realm about and all this stuff without being programmed. And I'm not saying don't believe people. Mick Mac and Mark, cool. What's up, brother? I'm not saying don't believe people when they teach you stuff, but what I'm saying is if you're willing to do this, if you're willing, I was just on the phone with a friend of mine. What's up, Domac? Love you too, brother. And he was talking about the first DMT experience. I have a video talking about that. I was terrified. I got to be honest with you. I was terrified But the unconscious part of me was excited to see what's in there. What's this place all about, right? And it really, how did you put it? You really feel the ego when you go through those things. So you don't have to necessarily do that in the out-of-body experience. But I do believe that if you're going to go to other like really far out places in the OBE experience, there is going to be a surrendering that has to happen. But like the DMT experience and things like that, they show you, you don't really have an option. You have to surrender. Otherwise, it's just not, you're not going to get the full experience. So for some reason, the only thing I know about this so far is that after listening to the Monroe books, tapes, all these audios, reading books, Thomas Campbell, all these people, is that consciousness wants us to individuate. It wants us to understand for sure that we're all one and part of source, but it wants to create life and light, and it wants us to individuate, and it needs the feedback. It needs to know. It wants to experience this stuff. You can call that a prison if you want. But I think we make it a prison. And if you look in our history, you'll see that that's true. And I don't think it's any different now. And when we can't find people to blame for this prison, it's easy, right? It becomes easy. Because the biggest void actually is being responsible for everything. You, your life, your reality, your metaphysical reality, your afterlife, everything, your health, your success, your unsuccess. That's some scary shit, right? But I think this is important. Here's why. The biggest reason why I think this is important, and one of the biggest things that I've learned, is that every single person walking around is still that baby. That baby that was lost when they came here and they needed guidance and they didn't know what to do. Every single person, no matter how confident they seem, no matter how good their presentations are, no matter what they seem to know, they have this child in them. Now, what's happening, what is happening is, I think consciousness is allowing us to see the metaphysical more. That's why there's just vast and thousands of people interested in it. Because if we don't, then we're going to become just little programmable things like everything else. All we will be, we'll just be a resource. Your personal relationships, everything about you will just be, will this help me get somewhere? And that child will be lost. So spirituality is kind of showing us, or the out-of-body experience is kind of showing us that that's the real illusion. So even if they're trying to plug stuff into your brain and mess with your body and program your unconscious, if you have one real out-of-body experience, just one etheric experience, in my opinion, like you'll see it for what it is. The ego in that place like reacts on everything. I couldn't even get to the moon when I got out, right? Like everybody talks about going to these other places, wherever. I couldn't even get out of my yard. And it wasn't because I wasn't capable of it. The first time I got out of body, it wasn't because of that. It was because my ego resisted certain things. The dream world shows you this, but I'm telling you, the etheric projection is something entirely different. And I hear these explorers talk about after they've etherically projected, which is fascinating, which means they become a ghost, right? They get bored after a while. That's what I'm learning after listening to all of these audios. They get bored because you go around what? You're going to fly around your neighborhood, go visit your friends, things like that. I mean, I feel like I could do that forever, but these people get bored and they want, well, they tell themselves, while I'm here, why not explore consciousness further? Why not figure out some real answers? And I'm telling you right now, I really think, even though I do practice my own spiritual set system of things, and some of you are familiar with that, right? Like ceremonial things that I do because I know how my unconscious works. It's just a system that works for me. That's a side note. I think if you take any belief system into this realm, you might be doing yourself a disservice because you might miss out on something. Was it Domek that told me this, right? Like, all who are seem to be like wandering are not lost. Some of us, including Monroe himself, like wandering in these realms and seeing what's up. And this place that we're trying to get into, that we're listening about, that we're trying to work on, this place that we're trying to get into, we take our beliefs, our fears, our addictions, our guilt, our ego, which is pretty much everything I just said, into that place. So the more you can surrender and let go, the more you're going to witness what consciousness is really doing. And it's freaking wild. Like, think about that. The smartest person on this planet really has no idea what's going on. That's a big possibility. The wisest person on this planet that ever lived still may only have a minute detail of what's going on consciously in these realms. And that's it. Granted, it's a lot of information, but it's not near what's out there. So I feel like when we take this journey, the more of us do it, no one's ever going to be able to program us again. We'll be able to take care of that childlike individual that's inside every one of us that we're all trying to hide. And believe me, I know. There's things I don't talk about that I'm going through. We're all going through things. We all have our fears. But the more we explore this place, the more we realize what that's about too, right? I still think, and before I get into the Monroe tapes again, and we start talking about that, I still think that all of this has something to do with what we call love. That's what we call it, right? Love is the biggest feedback loop for this conscious machine. People have called things like loosh. I've heard all kinds of different things. Monroe's called it that. But I don't even think we know what the hell it is. It just pulls us everywhere, doesn't it? So some of these original tapes I wanted to get into tonight. I thought about getting back into the book, but I'm kind of like, I'm exhausted right now. Not going to do real good with reading, but here's one that an explorer did. It's called The Responsibility for the Self. I think this is one of the biggest things that scares people, if not the biggest thing. Not saying, like, don't ever think that the divine intervention doesn't happen, like, or that there isn't something out there that's helping you or guiding you. I promise you there is. I just don't know what it is. I don't know what to call it. But let's listen to this. See what happens. I haven't listened to it. Hold on.
Here is the setting. The explorer is lying in total darkness in a special isolation booth in our experimental laboratory, usually on a temperature-controlled waterbed. The booth itself is acoustic.
Oh, another thing, too. Like, if you guys really want to go to the Monroe Institute, I'm down. I want to go bad. I had no idea they laid in waterbeds when they... That makes total sense to have an OBE, though, to lay in a waterbed. Is that still a thing?
Particularly treated to reduce external sound. Also, it's electrically shielded to filter out most electromagnetic radiation. A portable radio simply won't work in the booth. Temperature and air are controlled both manually and by automatic servo mechanisms. Negative ionization of air is often used. The explorer has a sensitive microphone close to the mouth. Around the head is a band of electrodes to monitor brainwave patterns. Other electrodes are attached to hands and feet. These measure body voltage and the waveform variation at the microphone level. Additional electrical contacts on various body parts examine heart, lungs, pulse, and other body activities. She is wearing a modified set of headphones to give broad frequency sound in each ear. Thus, she can hear us and we can hear her. I or another monitor is sitting in a control room nearby, and we feed different types of audio hemispheric synchronization signals directly to the subject. After a suitable time and suitable exercises, here's what happens, as RMC reports.
I heard it like a voice that same type of thing that happened before. It's something like I didn't repeat it at the time. That we're working in a very delicate wavelength and want me to get completely blanked out in a sense and try to pick up this dictation. If this voice as it dictates, it's described it as a very delicate wavelength, and that I must try to report as it comes through. And I found myself struggling and resisting. And then pretty soon I heard again saying that I must begin or we're going to lose contact, because the voice, there's some way that as I repeat this, the voice keeps the energy flowing, and this they're able to send down to however.
Grant says they got rid of the water beds at the Monroe Institute. Damn, I wonder why, because that makes total sense. Maybe people were falling asleep too easy or something.
To continue this contact with this flow. So I'll see if I can get back into this flow and hear what's being said.
Just relax and go with it.
So we want you to begin this conversation so that the flow will continue. It is important to get this flow to build up the energy level. The voice has a special energy, and as this energy is projected and utilized, this helps in keeping the flow continual. We want to describe the different processes by which and through which there is communication. The basic form of communication is on a wavelength which is of a very high vibration. On the earth level, the communication that takes place between the minds of those who are in the earth atmosphere are on a wavelength that is different than the communication that takes place from the levels beyond the Earth's atmosphere.
Listen to this. You know what this is making me think about? What if this sounds like an alien talking, right? Like most of the people's abduction experiences that they've had. Like if you were an alien and you were an interdimensional being, and you've seen that, like our state of consciousness the way it is right now. This would be, I'm just saying, if I was an alien, just an interdimensional being, and I saw the way that Earth's consciousness was right now, this might be the only way that I would talk to people. If they were willing to like step into the void, reach a certain wavelength of consciousness, yeah, maybe. I'm not telling you to buy this 100%, but this is supposedly an explorer that's been doing this for a long time at the Monroe Institute, so they they develop trust for this person, from my understanding.
And there are various means and various levels, and we want to discuss this in the Earth's atmosphere. The thought that comes from the human mind is working on a certain rate of vibration, and as these thoughts produce energy, and as these thoughts come into being, they are immediately dispersed into the atmosphere. The thought waves themselves are of an extremely high frequency.
So, thought forms. There's a book by Annie Besant and C.W. Lead. Is it Leadbeater? Leadbeater. Yeah, right. C.W. Leadbeater. This whole thing. Thanks, Kevin, for the sub. Appreciate it, brother. This whole thing is real. Thought forms are real too. And when I read that book, you kind of need the PDF to go along with it. But I believe that's a real thing. Think about that. M-band noise is what the Monroe Institute called it. All of our thoughts are just flying around somewhere in the atmosphere at a higher frequency level. We think they just stay in our skulls, and that's it, right? But if you think about the OBE experience, right, and all the stuff that happens there and everything that happens synchronistically, there's no way the stuff in your mind just stays in the fleshy part of your brain. Not a chance.
And once if they are released from the source, then it is possible for these thought waves to be sent to they are able to travel to in a limitless way. However, there are limitations to the thought waves, as we will discuss. The thought waves of the human system depend upon the nature and the makeup of the energy within the human system. Basically, the human system is the same. However, the use of the energy, the mental energy, can make the difference. There are many factors that can influence the free flow of energy. The thought energies, we will say, are controlled and are limited by the limitations that the physical system puts upon itself. This we will describe that within the human system there are five levels of consciousness. So we say this is the one way that we can describe it. There is, we shall speak in terms of the mental level, the pure mental state. Now, the pure mental state is that state which is the very basis from which the thought originates. And then there is another level which the mental state has to work through. The thought, there is the other level of what is considered the emotional level of the being, and this is the makeup of all the past experiences within the full gamut of experience of the soul.
All right, so here's what I'm checking for while she's explaining thought processes. We know in mysticism, or in the Western esoteric tradition, they've based everything on the four worlds, right, or the four trees. Absolute, which is archetypes, gods, ideas, sparks. Bria, the next world, which is the emotions, the creative world, the energy that starts to create things, okay? And then Yetzira, the astral world, the mind, the energy that creates the maps and the blueprints and the actual visions of things, and also the astral realm. And then Asaya, the fourth world, which is the physical world and the active world. These people they're not associated with the occult, the esoteric, or anything like that. Nothing. I'm betting it runs a close to that, though. I bet you. Because she's already talked about one level of a frequency. Then there's an emotional level, which is a different level of frequency.
And then there is another level of the physical level of a human system. And the other two levels are the etheric levels of the more etheric system, the energies that are related to the energy bases within the physical body. There are 5 energy bases within the physical body, and the 5th is a very delicate system that is that which controls all the 5 major portions. The 5 major portions of the communication system, then we shall say the central system is controlled in the mind, and therefore this is why there is such a variance as to how effectively a human is able to communicate and use their system. We shall say that, as you are aware, on the Earth level, there are top quality. There is that is which is built of top quality, and is in its use most efficient. And then there are those that are built of the inferior quality and therefore are not utilizing its full potential. Therefore, the human system varies because of the use, whereby the use that the vessel is, the means whereby the vessel uses the facilities that.
So she's saying there's 5, is what she's saying. There's 5 levels. There's the pentagram right there. I'm just saying. All of those elements correspond to a part of you. I'm sure you know that now. Your senses, the 4 elements, and spirit, right? But I'm not trying to make this a thing, okay? Because if it's not a thing, it's not a thing. I think we tend to do that, right? Well, we try to take our spiritual system and put it into, this is exactly what I was talking about before, what these explorers are experiencing. But I'm just going to say, for now, she's saying there's 5 levels. It
has those that are in the highest form of ability to communicate, and with the clearest channels are those that are in a balance from the internal levels of the full system, where all systems go. And then there is a possibility of clear communication between the mental states on the Earth level. This has a great deal to do with the ways in which the mind has been trained. We shall say that when the mind has limitations put upon it, then there when the thoughts are put into the mind that there are limitations, then there are limitations. And therefore, this is why it is very important to re-educate the human race to the uses of this full potential of the human communication system.
What did she say? All systems go, right? She's getting us a message. All systems are go when a person is at a complete balance of all these places. Not over ambitious, not over emotional, not over whatever. When a person's at a complete balance, they're the most effective. All systems go. That's how energy works. Batteries, plants, whatever. Plants need all the elements equally to be have the greatest bloom. We need all the elements to have the most energy and the greatest life. Batteries need balanced elements to be at full charge. It's kind of obvious, right? But she's saying the obvious. But she did sneak in there, just like I said before. And I swear on everything, I didn't listen to this before. She did say that our minds have been trained. We put limitations on ourselves. In other words, we're programming ourselves. That's it, right?
When the mind is aware that there is no limits put upon it and can understand the full potential and uses that can be made, then the flow is much more rapid. This is why it is important to re-educate the human race to the understanding that there are absolutely no limitations as to how and where the communications can take place. The human mind is capable of traveling to the furthest depths of all types of universes to tap into every possible type of knowledge that exists, because at the base of each human system is the very principle of the universal knowledge, and each human system is capable of tapping into that source, which is its very being. And when this knowledge is revealed and understood, the human soul, the human mind, then is freed to begin to explore the inner and the outer depths of all possible universes. And
all possible universes, right? That's insane what she just said. I mean, there is no limit to your mind. There's no limits to this, right? You can explore all possible outcomes and all possible universes, all possible realities, once you let go and surrender to the limits of what's in your mind. Like the limit, not surrender to your mind, but let go of the limits that you're putting upon yourself in your mind. This is what our ego is something else, man. We love to be right. We love confirmation bias, but we're really just programming ourselves doing that stuff.
And this is the importance of this work which you are doing, because you are allowing the human mind, the human soul, to flow in its own freedoms and to explore that which it really is. And as a result, there is that discovery that there are no boundaries within.
You guys, dude, I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry. The one thing I want to mention too, all knowledge, she said, right? So she's channeling this out of body. She's in focus 21 or whatever. All knowledge is acceptable, and it is your very being. That means deep down in your soul, if this explorer is right, And if she's talking to something that's right and telling the truth, right? Deep down, you're not here to learn anything. You already know it. You're just in an illusion, in a program. So you're here to remember all knowledge, everything that can be known. Gnosis is available to you because that's who you are. She said that's your very being. And think about in our spiritual text, this story is told over and over and over again in several different spiritual texts. It seems like downloads. But even when, I guess the magician, what's his name? Not Saul. I can't think of it now, but when he asked God God said, what do you want? I don't want riches. I don't want anything. I want wisdom. I want to know. I want to see the architecture. I want to know what's real. And he said, because God told him in that spiritual text, because you asked this, I'm going to give you all these other things, which is a metaphor for really knowing I am that I am is a limitless thing. And it's also who you are, which will allow you to have everything if you can just tap into it. Right. I think, I mean, this is from the 80s, by the way, this recording.
There are no boundaries. The body is in no way a boundary. It is just an encasement, a storage place for the human system to get regenerated, then to utilize the energy, and then to travel in all directions. However, we stress an important, extremely important factor in this communication process, and that is that all systems must be go. We say that the balance within these 5 levels in the human system helps to create the better forms of communication. When one level is not flowing correctly, as for the emotional level, this can block, this can quickly block the communication process of mind to mind, or mind to matter, or mind to all outer forms of communication. And then as well, when the physical is not up to par, there is a low ebb of energy, and this is also a blockage of the communication system. And then when the 5 energy spots, the 5 energy points, main energy points within the system are, if they are not at a balance, this also can create a blockage in the flow. And when the system is at its balance, there are then different means whereby the communication can take place, because the mind can go into various levels, taking with it different aspects of the human consciousness, as in the travel of the out of body, there are different levels whereby a soul, a mind, a being can travel into other dimensions.
This is so trippy, man. Okay. I just had this thing. All right. So she's talking about these 5 levels of human consciousness and communication. 5 levels that need to be absolutely balanced for us to project. Now that's, damn it. If anything, the tarot teaches us that's hard. Because in our story, we're always either way too in the mind, or way too in the emotions, or way too fiery, or way too earthly and passive, or just dead, right? Like, to balance this is to what? What does that mean? Is it just moving from one place in the tree to the next, trying to find the middle pillar and the middle sphere and the middle pillar all the time? the more I think about this, to get out of body, to pop etherically, not only do you have to have, your body has to fall asleep, but it helps when both hemispheres of the brain come together at the same time for the etheric double to come out in this like hypnagogic transition. If you meditate long enough, you'll notice that everything is moving, right? Consciousness is just observing all the movements. So being absolutely still, focusing on absolutely nothing with an open mind and just learning to be still and observe the movements might put us in that place of balance, but it also puts us in hypnagogia too, right? You know, that's why the Western system of esoterics is like this active system of trying to balance these elements all the time, but being absolutely still. Take no thought. Even in spiritual texts, I think Christ says that too, like take no thought, think of nothing. And you'll get to that stillness, and then you can observe the movement of what consciousness is creating, and then possibly, pop out. I don't know. While she was saying that, I kept hearing that, be still, be still.
And these will depend on, this will depend on the delicate balance, or this will depend on the vibration that the system is on at the time. And this is why it is important for the knowledge to be released, that each being can tap into this knowledge and into this flow in different forms, and there is not one set pattern whereby a soul will travel. This is why it always is important to clarify that each soul has its vibratory rate, and there are many ways to tap into knowledge, and it should always be cleared that just the thought of a soul traveling out of body is a limiting factor. And you, of course, are aware of this because you work in the way in which your system is set up, and you travel with all 5 dimensions working for you in different patterns, and others will travel with different dimensions of themselves working at different levels. There are those who are able to travel into the pure mental realm and can travel with no limitations, as well as the traveling with the more intricate aspects of the system. This is important for the human consciousness to be aware of in the whole communication process. Now, this, as we are speaking in terms of, is the relationship of on the earth level of the mind traveling into the atmosphere of the consciousness level, where it can tap into matter. This is just the first level. This is where the thought can travel from the mind of one being to instantly into the mind of another, the thought transference. This is energy of a certain rate.
Okay, hold on a second, though. Here's a question about that. So, if I'm thinking about a person, do they know it? Or can they feel it? Like, is there any way to prove that? Other than the synchronicities that we have when we think about a person and they call us, or like that happens for sure. But is it every time that I have a thought? If I think about a thing or a person, do they think about me for a second? There's got to be a way to prove that. But the mind is a crazy place, though. I mean, if you stay in there, you stay in the mind, you're definitely not balanced too. So at the same time, I think when you're thinking about somebody, you have to be in that balanced flow state, and you just happen to think of them, other than just being all up in your mind. If that makes any sense, I don't know. Does that make sense? Some of this is a little hard to grasp, but I get it.
Vibration. And this also works on any level of the communication in the first dimension of the earth. Now, there are those who are able then to receive information and communication in a different way than others, because of the nature and the way in which the human communication system is set up. This is why we shall step into the second level of communication, and that is where the communication process comes from a dimension beyond the earth level to the earth atmosphere. And this then is on another rate of vibration. And therefore, every human system is able to pick up these vibratory rates. However, because of limitations put up on these 5 various levels within the human system, this can create the blockages in communication. Therefore, again, it is much depends on the thought forms of the basic system as to having the channels open to pick up the communications in the atmosphere. It is like having a one-way or a two-way radio, and those delicate systems that are more attuned can become the two-way radios, where they are able to tap into all forms of knowledge and travel into a limitless atmosphere, and then also are able, as they are in balance, to receive the communication flow from all levels from levels beyond the Earth atmosphere. And this again is what is happening in your system, because you are open and allowing the human system to be open to the two-way contact with,
like two-way radios, man. All right, we're at the top of the hour. We got to do the radio station thing. Interesting. Where did the thoughts go outside the atmosphere, though? Is that why? See, this goes back to that show that we did about gravity. I think there's more to gravity than what people think. I think it has something for sure to do with the astral realm and keeping us kind of trapped here on purpose, but also keeping our thoughts. It has something to do with that, right? I can't put words to it, but it has something to do with keeping all of our thought forms and frequencies and communications, not just life, but those things too, in this sphere. Of course, that's just speculation. I have no way of proving it. It's more of an intuitive thing. But anyways, we'll be right back. Stay with us. More Lighting the Void coming up in just a minute.
and look at the TV. This reporter guy, he's saying that alien spaceships have coming down and are having fights with the military. I know, Uncle Bill. Isn't it crazy? The New York Times even told me alien spaceship parts is in Las Vegas. Have you heard conversations like this? Are you looking for more definitive explanations and answers? Visit our website at ufoseekers.com.
Have you ever wondered, what do the stars say for me? Or, will the next month or the next year be more favorable? How about, are our two signs compatible? Each month, at the new moon, you can ask these questions live with me, your astrologer psychic, Mary DeCina, along with host of Lighting the Void, Joe Root. Join us at the new moon for Cosmic Conditions. We look forward to working with your energy.
Every new moon at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
What is dedication?
I am the father of a 9-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy, and I find fatherhood both relentlessly challenging and relentlessly rewarding. My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much, from the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night, and every moment in between. It really is so special, and boy, is it exhausting. One thing that I fear about being a parent is the future for my children. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings. But I'm also hopeful that the future holds a more inclusive and compassionate world for them.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you're worried your friend may be struggling, remember, you don't have to be there to be there.
You can say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You can ask on your couch while you binge watch. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
Bumper stickers are a fun side hustle with low-cost investment that has built-in advertising to attract local customers in parking lots, rallies, gatherings, conventions, venues, and more. You could potentially sell these bumper stickers on consignment to local businesses, tattoo parlors, head shops, or any other independently owned store that might gear toward the fringe. Bumper stickers are great gift-giving ideas for friends and family. Also, a way to wake up your fellow travelers on the path without having to waste energy in tiresome debates. No car? No problem. Bumper stickers will stick to just about anything with a semi-smooth surface. Go to www.justbsme.com and get your bumper stickers today. Fringe FM, also TalkStream Live, Live 365, TuneIn, YouTube, and I meant to go live on Rumble, but just didn't happen. So we're listening to a an Explorer series that went back. This one goes back from, let's see, let me go down here and see. The Responsibility for the Self. This is from the 80s. And so far, she's just been talking about I guess she's just been talking about how our mind and our different levels of spirituality go in hand with how we communicate to each other, but also the knowledge that we can access. Not too much on where you explore, but we'll pick up where we left off because I don't want to start rambling and lose where we were. So we're about halfway through this one, though.
Is very important because you are not putting limitations up on the types of communication that can take place. And this is very commendable, and we say you must continue to emphasize the importance that each system is a very delicate communication system, and every human system has very special points and very, very special creative factors, because there is nothing that is more fantastic than the human system. There is nothing that the mind can create that can outdo the human system. No machine that is created has more of the built-in.
What the hell is that noise?
More of.
Y'all hearing that? Like every now and then I'll hear it. What is that? Is that Robert Monroe doing that?
The built-in faculties, then this amazing system that has all levels of energy and the most etheric points of vibration and light that travels. It is difficult in the use of terms, but we shall use the term light vibration, because these thought forms that travel out of the human system travel rapidly into all levels. We on this side are able to pick up much more readily all that happens on the earth plane, because the vibrations through which we work are on an extremely high level. We are not limited by the physical matter and by the vibrations of the earth plane. Therefore, this is why we can tap in at any time to all areas in the earth plane, and are able also to work in a communication system to help those on the earth plane to be more aware of the potential which they are working with. We are explaining this in very simple terms because it is something that is understood by some, but there are many who do not believe in the potential of the human system. The problem with the problem as it stands now on the earth is that many are continuing to try to prove that there is this level of communication where the mind is not limited, but by spending the energies always to prove and not to believe and move from there into the outer limits is a much of a waste of time. And it is fine that there are those who are always working to prove
Sorry, but we have to interrupt now and turn the cassette over to the other side.
That makes sense what she's saying, though, right? She just said that us trying to prove the stuff that we think is right to make us limited beings is a waste of time. She didn't even, like, this whole channeling session, it didn't even hesitate. It's just like a complete waste of time trying to prove that you're right or that you're limited in some way, you know. So I spent 42 years wasting my time. Yeah. Yeah, he was on Art Bell. Robert Monroe actually was on Art Bell once or twice, like the old school. If you listen to the old school Art Bell, when he was alive, Art Bell actually got to interview Robert Monroe. Both of them are passed now, though.
It will continue on the other side.
Are always working to prove, to come up with a proof, but this is a very slow process, and this is why to start on the basis that there are no outer limits, that there are no limitations in communication, and to believe and understand the communication process. This is the basis on which the human self must operate, because limitations are put upon the human system in working with the concept of proving every step. There is so much that is not seen, felt, not experienced through the five senses, and therefore the basis is that you must step much beyond and believe and operate beyond the five senses, to operate on the frequencies that go beyond, because thought cannot be seen, but it is definitely known that thought exists, because the energies that thought produce are definitely there. Therefore,
thanks, Juan, for the 33, brother. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Juan Ayala dropping in here, the one from the 101 podcast, dropping the 33, what do you call it? Super chat. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man. Y'all go check out. We have a lot of fun on his show, by the way. We're also hanging game with him, too, on 101 Media.
On the assumption that there are no limits in the human communication system.
You do realize what she's getting at, though, right? She said no limits so many times, trying to imply that every limit that you set upon yourself is a program, right? Which in turn makes you responsible for everything. That's why I think why this is titled Responsibility for the Self, right?
Releases a important flow of energy, and it is therefore important to stress this in your whole system of training, that those who allow themselves to go into the free flow of their own existence, and to know that there are no boundaries of the human mind and the human soul or the human self. However,
all right, I got to tell you guys this. This is personal, but it's not secret. It used to be a secret. It is no longer a secret. You can read it in every book. So one of the biggest things that you learn in the esoteric, like the Western system, especially like Golden Dawn magic, I know the Freemasonry rituals, and I know the Golden Dawn rituals, and they're not secrets. You can read them. When you're going around in the temple and you're like looking at certain symbols, right? There's the banner of the East, which is all knowledge or whatever, which is, towards the sun, right? Starlight. And then there's the banner of the West, which is the dark symbol. It's the dark symbol on the other side of the temple. When you go there, you're blindfolded. You're blindfolded, and they're guiding you around the temple. When you get to the West, right, the guardian, I'll just call him the guardian, but he has a name. You can look it up. I'd rather you look it up so you know the name of him, so you can see the symbolism. He'll pop out. So he pops out at you during the ritual, and they pull up your blindfold, and he tells you in the ritual that I'm fear, right? Like, he literally tries to scare you in the ritual, and then tells you, I'm fear. My job is to bind you. Fear is the fetter that binds. It's the thing that keeps you limited, right? I just thought about that when I saw someone say that in the chat.
If you want to put it, those are the ones who are going to have the greater experiences and understanding and receive the two-way systems of communication and knowledge. These are those are the exploring souls who are always open to the knowledge and who are open to new experiences and are not limiting themselves to the old ways of thinking and experiencing and being. And this is the...
He also says in the ritual, fear is the forerunner of failure. I am fear. I'm the forerunner of failure. Everything that binds you, right?
Nature of the new man, the man in the new age. It is not an age, it is a state of consciousness. A new state, we shall say, is new old state, that state of consciousness which is within man but is released. It is, as you speak in terms of a new age, it is a released state of consciousness. And those who are going to be on top of it all and to truly be in touch with all levels of communication are those who are in the flow of their own existence. And as the souls get into this flow of their own existence, they will get into the flow of all levels of communication. There are millions of levels of communication right within the human, the first dimension of the physical, and the souls that are in the flow of their own being will get into a two-way communication with all levels right within the first dimension. And as there is that opening out, there is a limitless atmosphere and a limitless universe to be explored. And we say that these who live in the new age of consciousness are living in the higher form of vibration and living in the highest level of their own being. And these souls know that there is no time, that the self is never limited by physical. And these souls, all souls who are in this flow and attunement, know, of course, that there is no such thing as death. That death is merely a word that is created in the physical language to describe something that they do not understand. And therefore, death is a word that merely describes. It is merely a word that is a limitation, a word of limitation put into the human language.
I love that Dune reference, by the way, Bryce. That's one of my favorite things about Dune. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Yeah, fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. It's pretty solid, man. For all you Dune freaks out there, I'm definitely one of them.
But those souls and those beings who get into the higher flow of their own consciousness and know that there is never such a thing as what is called, what you term as death. Death is a stoppage. Therefore, the true nature of the word death are those souls who are not in this flow of their own being. These are the beings whose whole systems are at a standstill, and they are not growing, and they are not flowing. And this is what death is where there is a standstill. This is the true explanation, because there is nothing that is ever destroyed, nothing ever it dies, so to speak. It is only transformed, as you well know, that everything is just transformed in two different rates of vibration, and therefore the word death is an entity in itself. It is merely a word created by man to describe something which he does not truly understand. But those souls that are truly in the flow and alive know that the word death is merely a thought form. We are speaking to you on matters which you understand, but we clarify these just so that as you continue to work with the thought form of this word, that you do not allow yourself to get bogged down upon concepts, because those beings on the earth level who are even concentrating too much on the concept can limit themselves. It's most important in the earth life to be alive in the flow of your own existence and to experience the highest level of your own nature.
That's so perfect what she just said. To be in your own experience and to experience the highest level of your nature. Right. I think Bashar even said that. Someone asked Bashar that, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Right. And I think Bashar told him to follow your heart and soul, what excites you the most, what your curiosities are and your passions are the most. You're meant to follow it. Follow it all the way to the end, right? And you'll see what happens. It's a crazy, magical synchronicity of things that happen if you can step through that fear. But the authentic path is a damn scary one sometimes, isn't it? Despite all the programs here on the earth. But that, again, I think that stuff is told in spirituality, even in the Twilight Zone. Even when Christ was on the cross, that's what he did. He lived a 100% authentic life. No matter what the world said, what the rules were, what everything said, it was all love, all family, all 100% what he believed and faith in. He followed his heart. The vibrations took him where he had to go. And the scariest thing he had to experience was the death of his body, right? That was it. And then he gave up the ghost, so to speak. It all says the same stuff, no matter what book you read or channeled thing that you hear. Like, we know all this stuff. It's just like, I think we just need to keep hearing it.
Thank you very much.
Dude, what the hell?
You were in this. It would be very helpful if you could explain to us this process of transformation that takes place when the physical body is no longer habitable, and where the human transfers, and what happens at that point.
There's definitely a lot of weird noises in this one, though. Like Monroe's making some weird noises. She exhales, like, I'm just saying weird. I'm not judging them, but, you know, she exhales in like a different way. Like she just did there when she stopped. She's just like, almost like she was dying in a sense, right? There's some trippy stuff going on here. I feel like this could be real, don't you?
this process of transformation, this is the best term to speak in terms of transformation. When this process takes place, it is a shifting of the basic energies from the home base is in the physical body, and therefore when this physical body is to be transformed into other matter of the earth level, then the base of the human self shifts from this into its higher. It is always in its highest form within, but it shifts in vibration and then is in the released state of vibration. Now, at this point, there are different matters that will influence the soul, so to speak, because those souls that are not balanced and are held down by strong emotional vibrations can be held into the earth level and can be attracted to the more dense vibration of the physical, because emotionally they are not releasing this state, which is that state whereby the home base was, so to speak. And this is why there are souls through emotional experiences that are not balanced and stay more in the physical realm, even though they are not necessarily, are not always seen with the physical eye, but often their presences are experienced. And this can happen with all levels of human. It is when a strong emotional state can hold down the physical body. But then there are different levels to which the more etheric self that has gone from the physical level of vibration and to a higher rate. This is a rate of vibration that the physical self cannot see. Often those in the physical body cannot see and experience this rate unless they are in a higher attunement. And this is why there are many souls in the physical body who, as they get into a higher rate of attunement, can travel into any dimension and visit with loved ones on a different rate of vibration. Therefore, when the body is dropped, then the self, the next level dimension of the self, then is attracted to that dimension where the vibration settles, so to speak. And this depends on the emotional and the thought form. If there are those who have preconceived ideas and thoughts put into the mental and to the mind as to where and what and how they are to be once they drop the physical body, then they will experience that and be that until they are educated and understand that they do not have to stay even in that state. Therefore, we say first that there are those, because of the mental first those because of the emotional body. The emotional body can be held down to the more dense, the physical vibration. And then there are those in the mental body state who can also be held down or can stay around or be attracted as well by the minds of others on the earth plane who concentrate up on them and hold them down. And therefore there are those who choose to stay around until they are released.
So people hold you down. I mean, she's not meaning it like that, but if you think about it on a vibrator, I was watching, 22 Jump Street the other day, and he's like, "Why are you always holding me down?" And he's literally like trying to pull him up. So, people on a low vibration do kind of, if you're on a different vibration, you got to meet in the middle somewhere. They come up, you go down. That's how it works. But even after people have passed away, our emotional states of holding on to people hold them here too, sometimes, especially if they're emotional attached to us, right? When we let people go, whether it's relationships, death, whatever, like when we let people go, we really don't just let them go physically. We let go of the vibration. It sounds new agey, right? It sounds new agey, but it's really an actual thing. Like we let it go. And you can feel it too. It's like a exhale almost. And then your new path goes on.
Power of the mind is so amazing. If the human self could truly understand the great power of the human mind. And therefore those souls, however, in the next state who are more free emotionally and mentally, are then released into a higher rate of vibration where they are not caught into emotional or thought form existences where they have to live through certain experiences. The higher level, the freer soul who is balanced and does not have preconceived ideas as to what and where and how they are to exist, then flow into the higher rate of their own vibration and are able then to live in a more pure light form. And therefore there are many laws that govern. There are laws in the whole universe that govern, and the like attracts like principle is very important in this whole process, because the thoughts that attract a being who is caught up in a certain thought will be attracted to that thought and to those beings who are in that thought. And this is why there are many of the religious groups who are raised in a certain thought form, and when they drop the body, they continue to stay together in that thought form and feel that perhaps they are the only souls who are in what you call heaven. It is just that same process on earth where like attracts like, and souls are attracted to each other by their vibration and their nature until they realize that they are imprisoned in their own thought or emotional form. And this is why there are many who are continually working to help release souls from thought, from the physical and mental and emotional thought forms that can confine. There is nothing that confines. The physical body does not.
You always see 5, 6, or 7 people drop off, and anybody states anything about Christianity or religion against their beliefs, like she's not saying that it's not real. She's saying that it's absolutely real on a level that you don't even understand, right? But every time you don't like validate someone's belief, they're gone. It doesn't bother me. I just see it every time. Even when we're listening to other people talk, if someone speaks out against a religious thing, you'll just see like 4 or 5 people just disappear. You don't validate their beliefs, they're gone, right? But they kind of lurk back because they're interested in hearing it. They'll lurk back. But you guys remember William Buellman when he got into this state of consciousness? He realized this, and he called them sensus realities, right? So he literally, when he was out of body, William Buellman, not Robert Monroe, flew over a heaven, a congregation of people that were in heaven, right? Now he was more, I guess, open to seeing what's real above this and all that stuff. So when he passed through it, the vibrations of all of those people in that sensus reality, or does he call it consensus reality is what he calls it. The vibration of those people did not like him being there. And he said it wasn't like a violent thing. You got to listen to the book. It's fascinating, but he had to get out of there. Right. There's some people that, like the hell realms you're talking about that you go to, there are people that actually believe they deserve to burn in hell, and their unconscious, whatever the hell it is, creates this place. And then on a collective level, they create this place and then they go there. This is why you hear all these reports about, I went to heaven, I went to hell, I saw Jesus, I saw aliens, there's so many different things. And none of them are exactly, I don't even want to say the word real, because that would be redundant, actually. There's always something else, But if you want to go to hell, or you believe that you're going to go to hell, or you believe you deserve a negative existence, you might end up there. And if you believe in heaven with your whole heart, you will end up there, right? I am that I am. It's pretty trippy, man. I cannot validate this truth personally. I'm still trying to get out of the yard, out of body. Okay. But this is what they're teaching. Just saying.
Not confined. The mind is not confined. Nothing confines other than that which the human puts upon themselves. The confinement and the imprisonment is a self-made aspect of man's nature. And there is no one that should ever be blamed for any confinement, because each soul is given its complete freedom to be its highest nature. But there are many loving souls continually working on all levels to help every energy being to be released into its highest self. And this is why from the earth level you have been receiving training of the various dimensions and levels within quote life after, but each soul, you must be aware that life after is the life that is there now. There is no before or no after. There is really only that experience of the eternal now. That existence which you are at this moment is the true nature of your being in its form. It is not necessarily in its released state, but that potential of the release state is right there. So a life after death is a life that is now, because there is no after. There is no after. If there is no death, so to speak, there is no after. There is merely the existence of the now, and therefore the souls that get into the flow of their own energies can experience timelessness more continually in the earth plane, as the experience of timelessness is the experience of eternity, because a timelessness is that state where the soul is able to rise into the higher aspects of its own balanced energies. One of the highest laws is the law of cause and effect. And this continues throughout that which is that what becomes the cause of the very being must know that that which they create around themselves will be the effect in which they will continue to live, and therefore the beings, each soul must try to be aware that there is no other, that there is no one in the universe to be responsible for other than the self. If each soul, if each light being, each soul, each energy being that inhabits a physical body would realize the important universal law of responsibility as well. The law of responsibility is that the main responsibility given to each being is that self. And this is why it is said that when one is able to love the self, then one is able to love all. This is an important universal law, because when the soul takes the complete and absolute responsibility of its own being, it then will affect many other lives. But because there are many souls who are out of balance and try to affect many others without the effect of their own being, without taking responsibility of their own being, there is great imbalance that takes place in the universe. And therefore, there is a...
This is like, I think Sudi said this in the top. What did she say? She said the LTV is like a church for me or something, spiritual church. This saying that she just said here, like all I've ever wanted to do is help people and love people. I swear on everything, man. That's all I've ever wanted to do. But it took 40 years for me to realize what she's saying right now. People say it to you all the time, but it's true. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? Is your life perfectly balanced right now? Like, are you totally in love with yourself? Don't just say it to be cocky and funny and cute. Not like, are you really? That's not, like, we've been programmed by a mind virus that we've put into ourselves. We've done it, right? But, like, it's so bad. It's hard to get there, isn't it, sometimes?
Great, there is that which is the magnification of the ego, which always says that I am perfect and I must show my brother how to live. But this is a reversal of the law as it is to be used. There is no responsibility to another other than that great responsibility that one must take in getting themselves into the highest form of attunement and balance. And then when the energies are flowing, there is the great love energy. There are the mental and physical and emotional energies that become balanced. There is the attunement, not only to all forms, but the inner attunement within the self that takes place. And therefore, as a result of taking the responsibility on the home base, taking the responsibility of self, then the effect begins to take place in the universe where other souls can see themselves because of the reflection of a soul that got into its attunement and took.
Holy shit. What is she? You know what she just said right there? She just described the lover's card. 100%. Lover's card is not a couple. She just described the lover's card.
Complete responsibility within its own universe, so to speak. The great being who, the highest light being who stepped upon the earth, Christ came to show to man that there must be that responsibility of the self taken, the responsibility to go within, to get into the highest attunement from within your own source. And as a result, there then is that many are affected, and this is why, as you study the life of this great being, there was no need. There were not the great physical needs as many now receive security and build around themselves many false security of things. When the soul is in its own balance of responsibility for its highest nature and the attunement then from the very home base of the self that is centered in the heart, then the universal law is that there is attraction, and there is much that is affected as a result of a being taking its full responsibility for itself, and therefore
I'm thinking about so much right now. The book Journey of Souls, every time that they were in between lives, the guides that talked to him never asked about how is your house, how is your income, how is your career. Thousands of people this guy hypnotized to go in life between lives. How is your status? Right? Every question that these guides asked the conscious being that was in between life were questions that surrounded the heart and its authenticity. Why did you do this thing? Right? You got to listen to that book or read it, Journey of Souls, right? It's all about the heart center. Yeah. I got the wrong lover's card here, but the one that she described earlier was perfect.
Then can see the light. This is let your light so shine, and it is that light which shines that is most important, and not the deeds that are done in trying to receive recognition, because that which is truly done in the right mode, and the right mode are those souls who seek not to have recognition for what they are. These are the souls who are in highest attunement, the souls who do not need the security of recognition. Therefore, the souls that are truly in balance and working in the right base and in the right areas of responsibility will not need the outer recognition or the outer energies or the outer material in order to give a type of security. There are no securities in the human,
that's a fact.
The human world, because everything is movement. Anything that a soul tries to hold on to is a false security, and therefore there will be disillusionment, and therefore it's important for souls to put their security strictly within that highest God nature, into the God of the universe that is tapped into through going within the self. These laws are the most important laws. The law of a balance, the law of attunement, the law of love.
And there you have it, another explorer.
She just called it the responsibility. So she ended that and called it the law of love. The title for this is Explorer 11, the responsibility for the self. But that tape ended with the law of love, right? To live in the heart and know that there is no security. All that, man, dude, I have to think like that channeling session, wherever she was, that vibration she was at was definitely high. Good stuff there, man. Yeah. Touching, big time. I hope you guys got something from this, or it validated something in your heart to know the truth about it. But like I still have to experience this for myself, though. I think it's worth it, right? All this stuff sounds good and it feels good. It feels true. It does to me. But I still want to experience it for myself, you know. And I'm saying that because I think we all should. We all should experience it for ourselves. So get out of body, Grant. Grant gets out. Grant's been out. So there's people in the chat, too. I want to go through the chat real quick that have said, somebody in here said they've been out of body like 6 times. I forget who it was. Maybe Matt? Is that who it was? Yeah, you should call into the show sometime, man. You know, anything you have to say or share with people will help you. Everybody else have this experience, too. But, yeah, we're going to roll out of here for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same channel. We air Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights live, and then I put out videos sometimes and also do stuff for the members, content created like supporters and stuff. And then sometimes on Mondays we have the New Moon broadcast too. That's it, right? We got to get the hell out of here. Damn YouTube. Love you guys. Thanks for coming out tonight. It was really cool. Loved it. This was a good one. I got to think about what should I title this one? Yeah, throw some stuff in the chat and tell me, like, what should this be titled? Should it be titled The Responsibility for the Self, The Law of Love? I don't know. It's a good one, though, man. Hope you guys sleep well. Sweet dreams. Night-night. Big shout out to Sudi, too. Sudi and Juan for the chats and the support. Thank you. button's stuck. It is stuck. Yeah.